Hello and welcome back to the Mama and a Manse podcast. I'm so glad that you are spending time today with me, and I hope that you have some knitting to enjoy and preferably a beverage, and that the weather is starting to get better for you. It's a little bit better for us. The kids went out and played without a jacket on yesterday. It's a little chillier today and it's supposed to rain later, but it's not snowing, so I'm calling that a win. As far as administrative stuff, you can find me on Ravelry, Gmail, and Instagram as Mama and a Manse. You can kind of follow along with what's going on in my life on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. We have a Ravelry group where you can go and introduce yourself, ask any questions that you have for the podcast, share fiber goals. There is a thread up there for sharing what your favorite object, finished object ever is, and I'm going to leave that open until the next podcast, and you can enter your favorite finished object ever for a chance to win my favorite finished object, which was my windswept cardigan. I showed pictures of it in the first podcast and wore it last week. And also, I asked last week if you would comment on how you found the podcast. A couple people did that, but I'm going to ask for people to do it again. I'm curious where people are finding it so that I can kind of go down that road if that's the best way for people to become aware of the podcast. I also ask that, like, if you order something from someone because you saw it on the podcast, that you mention it. That helps people to find out about the podcast who might not otherwise know, but also can possibly open it up. If somebody is seeing a lot of people are seeing things on this podcast, then there might be something that maker might want to collaborate on in the future with me. So I think that in general that's a good thing when you see a shawl set of yarn or a bag or anything from any podcast, that you mention how you found out about that maker, and I think that that is helpful for everybody and kind of spreads the love and helps get the word out there. I am going solo today. My husband is out on taking communion to people and then meeting with some other people about funeral arrangements. And so we've got 3 in school and 2 taking naps. So I'm hoping that I can do this and they will stay asleep. Actually today our baby is 10 months old, and she's going in between taking really good naps and taking very short naps and waking up. So I'm hoping that I don't hear her wake up while I'm in the middle of doing this, but we will see. So I guess I will jump right in there. My only finished object this week is another of my Emma Jo hats, which is a pattern that I'm designing myself. This is my second sample in the child size, so it is for Elizabeth. I do think that this yarn is a little bit too variegated. It's not too variegated, but I don't feel like it pulls the colors as much with this trellis design as it did in the Jilly, which seemed to have more of a pulling effect. I brought that one over here to kind of show the difference. This one pulled a lot, and so then I felt like it kind of, you could really see the trellis a lot more. Obviously in some places it blends in more. Also, I don't know how well you can see the decreases on this. The spiral on the top I felt like showed up better in this yarn than in this one. And also I'm still working on the decreases. I've had a couple of people say that they would like to test for me. I'm probably looking for 1 or 2 more. If you would be interested in that, let me know. I am hoping to get this pattern out and release it on my birthday, which is May 3rd. But with it being my first pattern and I'm not really sure about how to write it up, I'm still playing with the decreases. I have to figure out the tech editing thing and then get it out to testers. I'm not sure, especially with Easter being between now and then, that that's going to be a reality, but that's the hopeful goal. But this is another Emma Jo hat. And Lizzie's happy that she finally has a hat. She's been wanting to know when I was going to make her hat. Even though the child got a sweater recently, she wanted a hat because other people had been getting a hat. So now I have a hat for everybody in the family except for Violet and my husband, which Violet, I made a bunch of hats when she was a baby, before she was born, so I'm not too worried about that. But that was one of my goals. I bought nicer yarn to make everybody a hat, and so that's one of my 2018 goals, and I'm most of the way there. As far as whips, I have gotten a little bit further on my, I'm not super sure how to say this. I believe it's a French word, the derived socks or dérivé. I'm not sure how you say it, but they are this month's, the month of March's Knitting Expat Sock Club pattern. The last time that you saw these, I was here. I have since put in a heel and gotten a little ways on the leg. I have a few more inches to go on this. I really am liking this pattern. It's one that I can look at every maybe 6 rows and remind me where I am in the pattern and then keep going. So that's kind of nice, and I don't have to keep looking at it constantly. I don't have these on the sock blocker because they're still on needles, and that is kind of a pain. I'm knitting these 2 at a time, toe up obviously. These are size 1, which is what I make all my socks on. These are the Chow Goo red lace. I absolutely love these. I like to do 2 at a time because I have both socks done at the same time and don't have to start over and basically make the same project again. So to me, even though it's not, it seems like this is faster because everything's done at once. Something that I don't like about doing 2 at a time is that the cord tends to start curling in a lot of times. When I was using my Hiya Sharps, this red lace cord does not. It is completely limp. I absolutely love this cord. Another thing is that since I had my ganglion cyst surgery back in November, I've noticed that the really sharp needles and I are not getting along as much as we used to. I seem to, the very tip of the very pointy needles seems to catch my yarn more. I don't know if I'm shoving it through further or what, but I not really split stitches, but catch them. And so these Chow Goos are just a little bit duller. They're still plenty sharp. This does have yarn overs and it 2 togethers, slipping stitches, all that kind of stuff. And these don't catch and I don't have to pay attention. When I'm using the really sharp needles, I have been having to watch because I'm not splitting but catching yarn more. And so these are really like my favorite sock needles, which makes me feel kind of bad because my husband did order me for Christmas, well, Santa actually brought them for me, a pair of signature sock needles, and those are sharp enough, like the Hiya's, that it catches a little bit. And truthfully, I like this cord better. The signature one is a little bit stiffer. If it was more like the regular cord, I think I would like it more, but it's more like the Hiya cord. It's stiffer than the cord that's on their other needles. And from their website, it seems like that's something that they had gotten feedback on, and so they made it that way on purpose. But I don't prefer it that way, so it doesn't work out as great. But I still like those needles and will use those, but for right now, these are definitely my favorites. Okay, then the next thing that I did, oh, and that was hedgehog sock yarn in the Man on the Moon colorway, which was, I believe, maybe one of December's club colorways. I think it was the first month I did it, and so I think that that was December. This week I got a little bit bored with everything that I was working on and decided to go ahead and cast on my morning mist, which was one of the patterns that I showed you, all of the like cotton and linen and that kind of yarn. As part of my boycotting winter, I was wanting to make some summer tops. For this, I am using Cotton, which is a 70% cotton, 30% linen DK weight from Knit Picks, and this is the whisker colorway. The other one, I believe, the main color that will be like the actual shirt, I think is called Robot. It's in here somewhere. Oh, I guess it's DK, so it's up here. I actually reorganized my cabinet yesterday, and so it's much better, but I can't remember where stuff is yet. So I swatched for this week and also did part of that lace top. I ended up using size 4s in my signatures. I really love these. I love the cord. It is super flexible, just completely soft. These are sharp, but not too sharp. This yarn is also bigger and not really splitty. So I've had no problems knitting with that. And I have done half of the back top lace panel. This is double-sided. Yeah, it is double-sided lace. So right here is the middle, and I had a provisional cast on and then knit to the other, I guess, to the sleeve or the side of the back, and then I'll next pick up these and go that way. It's double-sided lace, which I don't remember that I have done before, and so that has been a little bit harder for me. Not really hard, but I have had to think back quite a bit on this. It's not instinctual to me. Sorry, I keep messing with my hair and my nose. Allergies. I've had to think back a lot. It's one that I felt like I had to concentrate more on, but I would say by the time I got kind of to this area, I was getting it more and was able to go and not have to think back so much. When I was kind of in the beginning part, I was constantly ending up with the wrong number of stitches. So it has not been blocked. But I do like how it's coming out. At first I was like, I don't even understand what this lace is doing, but I think when it's blocked it'll be, obviously it'll be prettier, but it will have more of a shape to it. But that one has been started. It is the heaviest. There might have been one other, yeah, there's one other shirt quantity that's in DK. The rest were sport or fingering. And so this is one of the heavier ones, so I decided to start with it first as we're going into spring rather than waiting until like into summer. So there's that. And then my long line cardigan I worked quite a bit on this week. It is in One Twisted Tree yarns in the Chaotic Neutral colorway. And I am knitting it on size 5s. Also signatures that Santa brought me for Christmas. And on this dear sweater, the last time you saw it, I was where this marker starts. Oh gosh, my nose is so itchy. And I have gotten all the way down to the bottom and bound off. So, let's see if I can pick this up so it looks a little decenter. You can't even tell what that is now. Alright. So it will have, you can't really tell. It has this nice squishy collar on the side with the ribbing, and then it's in stockinette, and then there's more ribbing at the bottom. I went just a tiny, the only modifications I've really made is I went a tiny bit past, like a 1/4 of an inch past where it said to start the decrease it, or the waist decreases, and then I think I did two extra rows lengthwise. It's a pretty long cardigan. I tried it on, it has not been blocked, and it was definitely seeming like it was hitting me in a good spot, and I figure because it's super wash, it's going to stretch down. So I didn't really make it longer, even though I'm 5'9", and often, well, pretty much always make my sweaters longer than it calls for. So as you can see, I'm on Sleeve Island now. More accurately, I am on the boat on the way to Sleeve Island, and it's like a canoe with no paddles. I have almost no motivation to pick up the stitches and knit on the sleeves at all. I guess I could be like Larry the Cable Guy and just wear it without sleeves. He's from Nebraska too. Not that that's a claim to fame or anything, but. So hopefully I will get these done. It was my goal to get this done before I really worked more on the morning mist. I might let myself do a little bit on it before I get to those sleeves, but I'm kind of, even though the morning mist is also going to be 2 colors of gray, I am getting a little bit tired of gray. It is spring, sort of, it's supposed to be, and I just really want to be doing exciting projects that are so colorful. And that has been living in my Alpaca Bag, which I think is adorable and cute, and I love it. And it fits a lot. There's some different sizes. I got the large size, and I can put like 3 or 4 projects in there, including the sweater, and it's really nice because my cats are kittens. They're about 5 months old, and they have a tendency to chew on my cords of my, they have not done it on my signatures, which my signatures I've been super, super careful with because they are so expensive. I've been keeping those put up really well, but a lot of my Hiya cords and Knit Picks cords, they like the harder plastic and they chew on it, and it ruins them because then the yarn catches. So I can just pick up everything that I've worked on that day and put it in the Alpaca bag, and it's all in one spot, and I don't have to have everything in an individual bag because it can fit so much. And that is all of my whips. And then I guess next will be yarn porn and acquisitions. I have a little bit of a crazy amount this week. Some of it is, I'm not apologizing for it. I've been in kind of a funk, so I do know that I have been retail therapy. Yeah. So there's extra, but also I had ordered yarn for a sweater quantity, and it came after I podcasted last week. Then my hedgehog clubs came in this week, and I went to a trunk show. So it does seem like there is an absolute ton. There is, actually. There's like 17 skeins. But you know, there were some extenuating circumstances. So first off, the yarn that came right after I podcasted last week is Sunday Morning by Lofty Loops Yarn. She is in Lincoln, Nebraska. This is a gorgeous gray with little pink and blue speckles on it. And it's very, very subtle. I mean, there are little blips. I mean, this is probably going to be like 1 stitch that has a little bit on it. The bad thing about this is I ordered this, and then like 2 days later she started experimenting and did a Sunday Morning remix that has a little bit more speckles and also has like purple speckles. Purple is everything. And so yeah, now I want that, but I'm not gonna get it. I will just have to stop with the lofty loops. But this did come right after, and I do like the subtlety. And I thought, you know, this tiny, tiny bit of speckling really will make it nice in a cardigan, that there's a tiny bit of interest, but it's not going to be up in your face. It'll be fun to knit, but from across the room at church or something, nobody's going to see that I have a bunch of speckles all over me. So maybe a little bit more grown-up cardigan than some of the other yarns I've been buying recently. I did get a sweaters quantity in that, and I'm planning on making the Campside Cardi, which is by Alicia Plummer. There are a lot of notes on Ravelry. I'm not really sure. There was a lot of things about, I don't know if you can actually see in this picture, but there's eyelets and they're at different intervals as you go down the cardigan. And there were a lot of people that were talking about them lining up. In the picture, they're not lining up, and they're not intended to. And so I don't think I'm going to do any modifications for that because I like this cardigan. So that is the plan for that yarn. And then, of course, I think that I mentioned that I was going to a peacock party, and there was a new dyer and a bag maker that were there at Imagine It last Friday. And so I got a few skeins of yarn, and I was completely right the whole time about who the new dyer was going to be, and it was Lofty Loops. So basically, you are going to see most of her colors. Oh well. Sorry, not sorry. This is the Sugar Plum Fay, and I decided to treat myself, and I got MCN Sock Faces, which I have not had any cashmere before, so that is nice. This is a nice pink and a little bit of purple. And the Tulips for Lovers colorway, which is green and pink speckles. I'm really loving the brighter greens lately. I never really disliked green, but it wasn't something that I would just go out and buy. I mean, you can kind of tell there's not a ton of green in my stash, but I'm really liking the lighter greens and the more neon-y ones especially. I also got Mamanuka. I have no idea. I don't even know if you can read that because it's kind of blowing out. But this is like a seafoam green kind of, and I really like it. That one's blowing out terribly from that light. I do not know the tricks of the trade for sure, but I liked this color as a pair of socks, I think, or as a solid. I was thinking about doing a solid version of the Emma Jo hat just to show off what it could look like as that, but I may do it in something that's more boyish than this seafoam green. Not sure. Wow, I cannot get that one to focus at all. It is just totally grabbing the light from outside. I also got a couple of pairs of needle DPNs, 3s and 4s. My house seems to have eaten them. I had them before, and I have not been able to find them, and 3s and 4s have been what I've needed recently, and so that's been frustrating. So I did get those while I was there. I also got my copy of the Interpretations Volume 5 by Joji Locatelli and Vera Valimaki, and I am really liking a lot of the things in here. The rugged coat is something that I am really interested in. And truthfully, everybody has seen these patterns. They've been all over the place lately. I feel like I see them every single place I turn. I do like the glacier tunic as well. That might be something that I like to wear leggings a lot. I feel like that might be something that would look good with leggings and my height. I have not bought yarn for any of these though. And all of my sweater quantities that I have bought in the past are earmarked for a particular pattern, and so I probably won't steal from those. The Tree Seeker shawl wrap thing. This is one that I do think I'm going to want to make. I personally I'm a little bit over all of the plain garter stitch everything. There has started to be a little, like some sweaters going to reverse stockinette, but for a while now it seems like the most popular things are very simplistic garter stitch shawls, and I'm kind of bored with it. I feel like all the easy stuff has been made and all of those designs are kind of barely different, and so I am looking forward to the pendulum swinging and getting into a little bit more visual and knitting interest. Don't get me wrong, I love myself a vanilla sock. I have been getting a little bit burned out on the pattern socks, truthfully, which is not a good thing because I am in 2 sock clubs for pattern socks this year. But after a while, everything kind of just looks the same and I'm kind of bored with it. So I'm glad to see some stuff that's not just garter or endless stockinette. Felt like there was one more in here that I wanted to show that I was really wanting to make. Oh yes, this one. The Quiet Stars wrap. Or not wrap, but like cardigan thingy with a tie. I think that that would be nice. It's got the lace in it. I mean, it's not plain at all. And I think that's kind of where I'm going a little bit more. And then the last thing I got at the trunk show was a Luna Pie bags. She's on Etsy. Right now, when I looked the other day when I was preparing my notes for the podcast, she had her shop in vacation mode because of the trunk show, or the peacock party. But this is the little bag that I got from her. It's the largemouth bag, and it has cute little cactuses on it that I just love. It has metal in the top. I have no idea how you would be able to possibly see that, but there is metal through the top of this, so it will stay open, and the whole thing is open and available to you. I really like that feature, and it holds a lot of yarn. I had 6 skeins in here and had it closed, storing them waiting to podcast. So I'm really liking this. Again, that's Luna Pie Designs on Etsy. And she had quite a few. There were smaller versions of this bag, and she had other like just cloth bags that were, I don't really think that they were drawstring, but they were like the ones that go over your arm. I don't even know what they're called. Just check it out sometime when she opens back up. And then there were a few colors that Allison from Lofty Loops had come out with that before the trunk show or the peacock party, that there is a hair on my lipstick. It keeps flopping when I talk. That's so wonderful. She had shown a few colors on Instagram that I was really interested in, and because of setting up and dyeing for this peacock party, the order for what she should bring to Imagine It was done well before she developed some colors, and so there were a few that she had that I wanted, and so I came home and ordered yarn from her shop the next day when she had a shop update. Sorry. And also sorry, my legs are going to sleep. I can't feel my feet, so I have to move them. So one of those new colors was Wisteria Lane. Truthfully, I now want to go back and watch Desperate Housewives, but again, purple and bright green are my absolute jam right now. I love this. I did get that on her MCN base, which is 80-10-10. And I love that. Then another new color that she made recently is called Neptune, and I got this on her sock base, which is an 80-20, and it's this like smoky navy. It is the perfect navy. I love this color. Oh, the blood's going back into my feet and now they're hurting. Sorry. I'm so professional. And then the last one, I don't believe that this is a new one, but I did get it because I was wondering if it would go with the other singles that I have gotten from her in case why is it blowing out when I turn my head? Sorry, that's kind of fun. That if I decided to do like a 3-color shawl that I would be able to. They're right there. So I think it kind of would. I have Mermaid's Lagoon already from her, but this is impromptu, and it is on the singles base because that's the colors that I was hoping it might go with were on singles. And I'm really loving the singles. The first hat that I made of the Emma Jo pattern was on singles. That was the first time I had knit with them, and I really enjoyed it. And especially for a shawl, I think it would feel softer, especially around the neck, without the nylon in it, and I just love the drapiness. I mean, this skein is a lot drapier itself than the regular skeins, so really love that. And that all was from Lofty Loops, which is her website is loftyloopsyarns.com. The only thing I don't like about ordering from her is that for some reason, even though Lincoln is 45 minutes away and so is Omaha in a different direction, one is this way, one's this way, when she mails me yarn, she puts it in the mail in Lincoln and then it goes to Omaha for 2 days and then it comes to me. It's so ridiculous. Not her fault, but I think maybe from now on, like in a year when I run out of Lofty Loops yarn, that I might just have to be like, okay, instead of paying for postage, I'm going to come and buy you a coffee and we'll have a coffee date and I'll pick up my yarn in person. Then it won't take so long and I will be happier. So that is, oh, I had a couple other things which are kind of silly and random. And not particularly yarn related, but sort of. When I went on my trip to Missouri with my friend Ashley, who's my newest yarn baby, we went to this wine bar, like French place, and they had enamel pins, so even though it is not at all yarn related, I went ahead and got it. It says champagne for the people, and they had lots of champagne and stuff there. But I thought that that would be a fun addition to my enamel pin collection so that whenever I see it, I can think of my trip with Ashley where we got to be super adults and go to places that I've never been before. And then the Board of Pensions for the Presbyterian Church sent everybody that's members these Presbyterian, I don't know if they're meant to be like a lapel pin or a tie pin, but my husband gave it to me. It has the little Presbyterian symbol that I'm supposed to be knitting into a stole but haven't touched since like the second week of Lent. It looks blurry to me, but you kind of have the idea. It's not enamel, but it's metal, and he didn't think he would really put it in any ties or anything. So I'm going to put it on my bag because I want to. Okay, so as far as culture consumed, again, I haven't really watched any new podcasts. Actually, I think that's a lie. I think I did watch a new one since I made my notes, and now I can't remember what it was called. Yeah, that's lovely. The other thing that we did finish was Broadchurch. I really enjoyed that show. It was a little bit rough in the beginning because from the beginning, it's a child has been murdered, and it's about this town that they're trying to solve this mystery, and it's a smaller town. I don't think their version of smaller town is the same size as where I live, where there are 1,200 people, but it was good. In each season kind of focused on a different crime and the investigation, and I enjoyed it. And I mean, accents, right? And we are back to watching through the Blacklist. We're on the last season, I think, that Netflix has, but I think there's a season that's like on regular TV, and we have not seen this season. So it's very slow going because I have to keep waiting for my husband. And then he starts snoring halfway through it if we watch a couple of episodes, and so then we have to re-watch those episodes that I watched the night before, the next night. So annoying. And also, at other times, I am throwing in some Downton Abbey. I feel like I am the last person to jump on that train. I've never seen it before. I'm in the 4th season. I think I might be decently far into the 4th season because the seasons are so short. I'm enjoying it. Watching it all at once, there's a lot of death. And so I'm kind of a little like, ugh. But I am enjoying it. Our first year here for the women's dinner that the church has in October, they had a speaker that had visited the castle where Downton Abbey was filmed, and I had not watched the show, and so it wasn't as interesting to me as I think it was to other people. I really knew nothing about the show other than it existed. And now I kind of wish that talk was going to be now, because I think it would be a lot more interesting to hear what she had to say about the people who live in the castle for real. But anyways, that's pretty much all the culture I've consumed because I'm a mom. PJ Mask does not count. Life in the Manse. It's been kind of busy. We had the Peacock party on Thursday. I had an all-day COM meeting, which is Committee on Ministry, and oversees the pastors and churches in the presbytery. We ended up taking one of our cats in for an impromptu neutering. The vet kept telling us that they did not fix them until they were like 5.5, 6 months old. I'm like, well, there's 3 of them. One of them I'm pretty sure was a boy. 2 of them are girls. They're siblings. I do not want kittens. I want to make sure that this is done at the proper time. We had an appointment for the 28th of this month, and then I think one of the girl kitties might have came into heat, and that sent the boy crazy, and I separated him, and then he, like, after I podcast the last time, we were at home that night, I caught him trying to do things. So I put him in the bathroom really quick so we could figure out what to do, because obviously we did not want them together. And he ripped up all the toilet paper, just like shredded it, and he was not in there for very long. I'm not a cat abuser. So we decided to give him the bottom floor of our house and have the girls upstairs. And the next morning, my daughter was going downstairs to like get clothes for school and walked by him, and he reached out and just clawed her foot. She had like 4 distinct big old claw marks right across it. None of our cats have ever been mean or aggressive. We made sure that we went and played with them quite a bit before we brought them home, because they were barn cats. And so I was like, they are not going to be able to be in my house if they are not used to people. We have a lot of people in our house. We have little people in our house. And so they've been really good this whole time. And truthfully, Isaac, our 3-year-old, loves them very much. Yeah. He likes to pick them up and hug them and carry them and all this stuff. And he has only been scratched like 1 time. They're very, very good with the kids. And so the fact that he really like clawed Emma was pretty upsetting, but also very out of the normal. And so as soon as the vet's office opened that morning, I was like, hey, you know, they had told me that because of the season and their age that there was no way that they would come into heat yet. And I'm like, they did. We need to do something, because he's super aggressive, and I don't think that I can keep them separate for 2 weeks, on top of the fact that then we would have to keep him away from the kids. And so we were actually able to bring him in the next morning and then pick him up later that day. And he, when I was getting him out of the van to take into the vet, he was like hissing at me, and he has not hissed at me since he was like 3 weeks old, and we started pulling him out from behind the boards and stuff that they were hiding behind. So I was like, oh, okay, well, we definitely need to do this. And he has been a perfect angel since. It made all the difference in the world. He is completely fine, and I am so glad because I was really worried that he would start spraying the house, for one thing, and I cannot stand that. But also, like, if he got aggressive, we would not be able to keep him, because we have 5 little kids. And he's a little bit my favorite. You're not supposed to have favorites of anything, but everybody does. He's back to being cuddly and sweet. He's huge. Perfectly fine. So that was back to normal. Other than that, the only thing that we really have going on is, I'm going to go ahead and say today is the start of Holy Week for us. My husband is off taking communion to people who are, one is in a nursing home, one is in kind of an apartment situation where there are nurses available type of place. He's taking communion to them, so they're kind of shut-ins, but not exactly. I guess the guy in the nursing home is. But he's taking communion to them, and then he is meeting another family for funeral arrangements. And then Sunday is Palm Sunday, and Monday he has a funeral, and Wednesday is youth group, and the last night of and Sunday is also confirmation. All the confirmands will be confirmed, so there's also the reception after church. Wednesday's youth, Thursday's Maundy Thursday, Friday's Good Friday, Saturday we are having my family out for Easter dinner, and then Sunday the first service is at 6:45, sunrise. I have always liked sunrise services, but they are difficult when you have little kids. I totally get that. So I'm exhausted just thinking about it. I have been sort of spring cleaning, sort of hate cleaning the whole house, trying to get it better. As I mentioned before, I've been in kind of a funk, and I think the clutteredness and dirtiness is driving me crazy. The baby is crawling around all the time. She's constantly dirty. Though I don't know how many times you would have to mop your floor a day for a army crawling baby not to get dirty. I've never been able to keep my floors clean enough for the babies not to get that, like, filmy, I don't know, maybe we're just pigs. But I've been doing a lot of that, getting ready to have people over, and because I think the visual clutter being gone might help me. And it's Holy Week. It is the busiest week of the year. In the next 10 days, we have 6 services. I think that's what it is. Is that right? Maybe it's more than that. That doesn't sound right. Anyways, it's a lot. It will be very busy. It's a lot of moving kids around, and the Monday, Thursday, and Good Friday services are very somber. Not the easiest thing with little kids, and obviously my husband is not helping me with children during any services, but especially those times he's super stressed out, he has so many services to prepare, etc. So there's a lot of, we have to do all of these things on top of the regular Easter Bunny type of thing, but he has to do all of his things, and then pretty much everything else is me. It's more divide and conquer than partnership, which is how we normally work, and so it's a different dynamic, and it's stressful, and it's so tiring, and I dread it. I will be perfectly honest with you. I dread Holy Week. I don't know that there's a lot of pastors' wives who don't, truthfully. It's stressful. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and say that I am probably not going to put a podcast out next week, because it is Friday now, and it will be later on Friday when I post this. And because from Wednesday on, we have services. I just don't think that I will have a ton of knitting time between now and then, for one thing. And time-wise, even trying to shove it in on Wednesday during nap time isn't as likely to happen. This Wednesday, I had a hair appointment in Omaha, so I wasn't able to do it, and, you know, I was also in a mood, so I believe it will probably be the week after when I come back with another podcast. But oh wait, I didn't even show you my hedgehog stuff, did I? No, it's still in the back. I didn't. I'm terrible. Okay, so there will not be a podcast next week. I will be back the next week. This one's going to be a little bit late, so it's not even going to be, it'll be like a week and a half instead of once a week. Okay, so I had them sitting right here ready to go. These two are the sock yarn, and my husband surprised me, and we are coming into what we affectionately call my season. My season is our anniversary, which is April 28th, then my birthday, which is May 3rd, and then Mother's Day, which is, you know, usually 2 Sundays after my birthday or something, like a week and a half. And so that's basically my gift season. And also, so you have those 3 holidays plus Valentine's Day, and so my husband, the hedgehog clubs came up around Valentine's Day, and he decided to get me more clubs for my season and Valentine's Day all combined. So I actually am getting 3 clubs this time instead of just the sock yarn. But the first one I'll show you is the sock yarn. This one is the Cherry Bop. It is a bit pinker than it is showing on the camera. it is close to red, but it is a little bit pinker than it's showing with the light that's coming in. The other one is Primavera, and it is another green and pink speckly goodness. It also has like these goldish flecks too. I think it's so interesting to just look at what flecks and stuff that they hide. There's always hidden treasures underneath in Hedgehog. And then he got me Singles Club. Well, I'll show you the DK. So the DK comes with one skein. This is called Limerick, and it is navy with lots of sparkles. This one is really another one that is very much my color palette. I like this smoky blue with the little pops of color. And then the Singles Club, there are two in it. This one is Dolly, which is quite Barbie-ish. Not that that bothers me at all. I love Barbie colors. But it is very, I don't even know if it's really pastel-y, but it's very pink and purpley. And then this one is my favorite, and this one they named Airy Fairy. And it is a gorgeous, very, very deep teal that I absolutely love. But it also has these surprising little pops of color. And truthfully, I don't know that I've seen this saturated of a teal in anything before. So I'm really enjoying that. So, sorry I totally derailed the end and had yarn porn at the very end. But oh well, you will live. Go ahead and make a comment down below about how you found the podcast. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it and would like to know when there's another podcast up. Join the Ravelry group. Comment there with your favorite finished object for a chance to win a pattern, and introduce yourself. I really like knowing where everybody's from. That's super fun. And I will see you in about a week and a half. Thanks. Have fun with your knitting this week.